Hello, welcome to the Dr. Lamb Show. I'm Dr. Carrie, and I have Susan Bratton here. She's an intimacy expert to millions and is a champion and advocate for all those who desire intimacy and passion their whole life long. So today we're going to be talking about libido, desire, and arousal, and going into not only the biochemistry of it with the neurotransmitters, but also physically with the vaginal and penile health and sexual regenerative solutions. She has lots to tell us about, and we're so happy that you're here on our
Thank you.
show.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, our sexual health is such a vital part of our health, especially because our passion and our lust for life are really supported and driven by our libido.
Mm-hmm.
And when our libido is low, I always say your libido is the other side of the same coin as your overall health. If you don't feel well, you don't have any libido. But if you feel good, the minute you know you're getting better is when you're like, I'm thinking sexy thoughts.
Yeah, and it's not something that a lot of people want to talk about. There's the kind of like this hush hush, but I'm so glad we can be open about it more
Me too.
in not only from a medical standpoint, but also emotional, and that there has to be more awareness about this topic, right? In
Yes.
order for us to help people. And so, I deal a lot with people with hormones, who have the
Yep.
issue with low libido, and they only say it's a hormonal issue, which could be one part of it, but I'm sure there's also a lot of different factors that go into it. So why don't you first, I guess, tell us what the difference between libido, desire, and arousal are?
Yes, I definitely want to do that. And there's one thing you said that I think is that you'll be interested in before I answer that question, and I promise I will, is that I have this technique called the magic pill method because I have a very large following. And when I send out an email to my email newsletter readers, and I ask them a question, sometimes I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of responses back.
Yeah.
And I sent out an email one day and I said, tell me what it is that's holding you back from having the intimacy that you want. Everything is on the table with the exception of I don't have a partner, because this isn't about singles and dating. This is
Mm-hmm.
about roadblocks, obstacles to
Mm-hmm.
you having the kind of sex that you want or you used to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I got back all kinds of health issues, from lupus and cancer and et cetera, to erectile dysfunction and painful sex, which would be genital based, specifically genital based. And it was really just a laundry list of emotional and physical health issues,
Mm-hmm.
with about 20% of betrayal thrown in. People who had been hurt in the past, emotionally hurt, and couldn't forgive and get over it, which
Mm.
is just an emotional impact. Our emotional health and our
That
physical
is
health
so
are, to me,
huge. Mm-hmm.
they're the same coin, two
Mm-hmm.
sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought to myself, okay, well, what can I do to help people find their way back? Because what I noticed was when people hit a roadblock and they can't have traditional sex as in intercourse, because most people are heterosexual, monogamous in a partnership. And that's what I was really dealing with in this conversation, though I support people across the gender spectrum and, in every scenario, of course, because sexual health runs such a wide variety across our humanity. But
Mm-hmm.
what I noticed is that when people who are in a relationship run into a health issue and they stop having sex, they never really get back together again. Then they end up just pulling apart. They don't talk about it. They don't have the words to discuss it. And they don't know what to do. One person is usually super sad, and the other person is usually super guilty feeling, I've let my
Mm.
partner down. Oh, my partner's not giving me what I need. What am I supposed to do? Do I have to live in a sexless marriage the rest of my life?
Yeah.
When in reality, people are looking at things in this super black and white way, where they think that because they're not having intercourse that they don't have sex anymore, or that because they can't have intercourse anymore that they don't have sex anymore. And then they pull away and they stop touching each other and they stop being intimate, and then they
Mm-hmm.
check out emotionally, and then they
Mm-hmm.
live like platonic friends instead
Mm.
of being touchy and lovey and
Right, more
happy
intimate in
and
a different type of way, right?
emotionally attached and
Mm-hmm.
physically attached and all the things we want out of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote this magic pill method, and I'll just give it to your listeners and your viewers now. It's at magicpillmethod.com. And it's a 3-step simple way to get back to what kind of intimacy still can work for you and to reconnect again. Because so many people who are suffering with low libido, lack of desire, poor arousal ladder strategies are the people who have kind of gotten pushed off the side of the road and they don't know how to get back into the flow of intimacy. So I think that's a really good thing to start with. Number one, if you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, I wish I could get my sex life back, but it'll never look the way it used to. That's okay, because what I find, and this is so interesting, I bet you find this in your practices as well in a different way, is that people just need good ideas of what to do. Okay, you can't do that? How about all of these 25 things? Do you think you could do those? Oh yeah, we could do all those. Oh, well, there you go. It's more that people need ideas and solutions than anything else. So that's mostly what I spend my time doing, is giving people permission, encouragement, inspiration, and ideas. So libido, desire, and arousal. This is the way I look at it. And I kind of look at it like a Venn diagram, the 3 concentric circles, and in the middle, it's your sex life. So libido is your body and how your body is responding. How's your gut microbiome? Are you pooping every day? What's your nutrition look like? I mean, the very first thing I was talking to with my closest friend, his mom had a stroke and she was in the hospital for the last couple of weeks, and she's starting to be able to eat again. But what are they feeding her in the hospital? They're feeding her ground up turkey, and they're feeding her potatoes and things like that. And I was like, how do we get how do we smuggle some vegetables in? I swear, I think that organic vegetables are the answer, the beginning of the answer to almost every problem in the universe.
True. That's true. That's great. Yeah, it is. You can get so much from just eating vegetables, right? And telling your children to do that too. Yes.
Oh, eating life gives you life. So your libido is not just my hormones, it's nitric oxide, blood flow. I mean, our genital system runs on blood flow. And everybody thinks that erectile dysfunction is a man's issue. But what I always say, do I have my banana around here anywhere? I have this banana. Hang on, let me grab it. I have this banana. It's in here somewhere. Here it is. I'm holding up this it's a plastic banana I bought on Amazon. It's not very edible, but I always explain this to people because I say, look, it's easy to imagine a banana as a man's penis. And it's easy to imagine that all the fruit inside is his erectile tissue, those spongy chambers that fill very quickly with blood due to something called hemodynamics. 50% of his penis is outside his abdomen. 50% is actually down and runs down toward his testicles. Where for us female-bodied people, we have only the tip, maybe the little stem of the banana is external for us in our clitoral area, but the internal tissue is the same banana's worth of amount of tissue. It's just wrapped all around our vulva. So it's the clitoral arms, the clitoral legs, the urethral sponge, the perineal sponge. Essentially, our vaginal openings have an erectile tissue bracelet wrapped around the vagina. And so many sexperts say, oh, you must touch the tip of the clitoris to give her pleasure, when in actual fact, they're looking at the thing they can see as the answer, but really the answer is everything inside. Us women, we need blood flow to our vulva as much as our male-bodied partners need blood flow to their penis for sexual pleasure. And people don't think about the fact that, yes, our hormones decline as we age, but so does our nitric oxide production. And it's an essential experience for us.
So nitric oxide vasodilate your blood vessels, right? Gets your blood circulation to the areas that we need it to in order to feel the libido. So how do you encourage that other than, vegetables, right? Nitric oxide production?
Well, it's really interesting because when you touch each other, Yeah, beets, exactly. When you touch each other, you generate oxytocin, which has a cascading effect to generate nitric oxide,
Mm,
which is so interesting that it relaxes your blood system so you can get the blood to your genitals.
right. The love
Um,
hormone, right?
the love
Oxytocin.
hormone. The
Yeah.
second thing is, of course, exactly what you said, Dr. Lamb, which is beets, arugula, all the leafy greens,
Mhm.
cabbage, dill. These are your best bet. But here's the interesting thing. If you use an antibacterial mouthwash, you could eat all the beets you want in the world,
Yeah,
but it kills off the bacteria in the crypts of your
right.
tongue that convert the nitrates into nitrites. And then
Mm,
if you have low stomach acid, I mean, so many people are on acid blockers and proton pump
yeah.
inhibitors, which to
Mhm.
me are like death. I would never do that. You want a high stomach
That's true.
acid
Hmm.
because that sphincter works on high stomach acid, not low stomach acid. But
Helps to
still,
digest
people,
your food, right? If you
exactly.
need enough acid.
You have to have enough acid. And as we age, our stomach acid declines. And the thing is that we might be able to turn the nitrates into nitrites, but then there's a secondary step, which is the nitrites have to be turned into nitric oxide. And we
Mm,
have multiple fault tolerant systems in our body to produce and store, including our salivary pump system. Our
mhm.
saliva has nitric oxide in it, which shuttles around too. So for a lot of people, when they say they have low libido, I don't even start with hormones. I start with, because in actual fact, when women go through menopause specifically, they're the ones that seem to complain the most about a dropping libido.
Mhm.
And a loss of estrogen production definitely will thin the vaginal tissue and make sex painful. But the loss of lubrication and the lack of desire, the you have a higher ratio of testosterone than estrogen after
Mhm.
menopause.
Mhm.
So you should actually have more desire,
More desire. Mm.
not less. So if you go back to, okay, maybe nitric oxide is the first place I should start getting blood flowing around, not just to my brain and my heart, but to all my parts, to my pelvic bowl. Because when you have enough nitric oxide going into your pelvis, your vagina doesn't have it's not a gland. It doesn't have its own lubrication. Your blood plasma actually seeps through your vaginal mucosal layers into the vaginal lining and
Mhm.
wets it that way. And
Mhm.
though how wet you are is not correlated with how turned on you are, when you are dry, you don't feel so turned on. When you are wet,
Yeah.
you do feel more turned on. So
Mhm.
you could be
Mhm.
super turned on and dry as a bone, or you
Mhm.
could be not even turned on yet and wet and
Mhm.
feel like, oh, I feel really good. This feels good. I feel
Mhm.
sexy. So
Mm.
I think number one, the nitric oxide helps with lubrication, but it also helps with sensation
Mm.
because the if you think about a banana and you think about it being all shriveled up, and then you say, okay, now I'm pumping blood in there. And now I've got this inflated, big, yellow, bright, juicy banana full of erectile tissue. You think about that, and the little withered banana had very little surface area. It was dried and desiccated and shriveled.
Mhm.
And then when it got plenty of blood flow and it plumped up, it had way more surface area. When you
Mhm.
touch the surface area of skin that has plenty of blood flow,
Mhm.
it has more surface area that sends more signals of pleasure to the brain.
Mhm.
So I think hormone balancing, amen. I use biased
Yes.
uh, or in organic shea butter intravaginally. I use testosterone cream on my clitoral structure. I use
Mhm.
progesterone at night. I love
Mhm.
them all.
Mhm.
I'm 60 years old and having the best sex of my life, which is
And you look great.
amazing.
Yes.
So they are really, really good, but I wouldn't do anything without taking a nitric oxide supplement. I make
Mhm.
one called Flow
Mhm.
that is made from organic, because I'm an organic girl, like you are, organic fruit and vegetables. And I
Great.
think that makes all the difference. So you can eat as
That's
many
great.
vegetables as you want, but making sure that you're not ruining the effect of the vegetables and
Mhm.
potentially topping your system up with citrulline, not
Yeah.
arginine. There are
Yes.
two amino acids that work in the nitric oxide pathway. And the clinical studies show that for older adults, 40 and up, by the time you're 50, you have half the nitric oxide that you had when you were 20. And your citrulline system actually works better than your arginine system. And a
Mhm.
lot of people have herpes. 80% of people
Mm,
over 45 have at least HSV1, if not HSV1 and HSV2. And
mhm.
arginine can exacerbate herpetic outbreaks. So
Mm,
you can take the arginine with lysine to kind of
mhm.
counterbalance that. But for a lot of people, they have a sensitivity to it. So I think a citrulline based supplement for nitric oxide is very, very good with your hormone balancing and good gut movement. So
Mhm.
good peristalsis, strong bowel movements. I mean, you can't really be making good hormones and neurotransmitters
Right.
without having an excellent gut microbiome.
Yeah,
So it all goes to the gut
definitely.
first, and
We
that's
definitely do
libido.
with that. Mhm.
I know
Yeah,
that's what you do. That's what you're helping people do, is unwind everything that's happened in their lives to get them to the point where they have to come see a functional doctor to get it all figured
mhm.
out from the root, from the
Yes,
system, the
the root
base.
cause, you're right.
Yes. And I do also really like organic acid tests. They are
Mhm,
super helpful, and
mhm,
Dutch tests for hormones rather than
mhm.
just blood tests.
Yeah,
We have some great molecular tests now that let us know how we're doing with our neurotransmitters, how we're doing with our amino acid profiles, how we're doing with our fatty acid profiles. That's another
definitely.
thing. If you have a poor fatty acid profile, you are not you're not going to be plump. Everything about good sex is
Mhm,
it's in good, it's moving, it's working, it's
mhm,
moisturizing.
mhm.
You can't be, if you're starting to wrinkle up and dry out, so are your genitals.
Yeah,
And having good omegas is so important. And it's so
indeed.
funny that you would think, okay, we were going to talk about sex, and now what we're talking about is omega fatty acids, but they are the foundation for resilient tissue.
Right. And having good fats is very important to creating all your hormones in the adrenals because by the time you hit menopause, maybe your reproductive organs, like your ovaries, are not working as well anymore, but you have your adrenals produce the estrogen and progesterone, the testosterone, and you need good fats, you need the right vitamins in order to get them made, right? So omegas are part of giving good fats to people in the right ratio.
Exactly. Yep.
Hmm.
I love cod liver oil myself. I think it's
Hmm.
fantastic.
It is.
Um, I also want to talk about sexual lubricants because a lot of couples feel like they're cheating if they use them. And that is not the case at all. But sexual lubricants are, interestingly, an FDA class 2 regulated industry because they need to have preservatives in them. The problem is that, and I know you know where I'm going with this already, when you
Chemicals.
put preservatives in them, they're
Yeah.
toxic. There may not be toxic chemicals, but I'm not, anything that you would put in your mouth, don't put anything you wouldn't put in your mouth on your genitals. It's
Yeah.
mucosal tissue. It's
Hmm.
absorbed right into your system. So
Hmm.
putting some lubricant with chemical names that you can't pronounce, that you don't know what they are, that are made from petroleum byproducts and things like that,
Hmm.
it's getting absorbed right into your system, and they can be endocrine disruptors.
Right. We call
So
them
you're messing,
xenoestrogens, right?
could be xenoestrogens from the plastic in the bottle or
Mhm.
what have you. So I think that my
What are some
recommendation to people,
alternatives? Hmm.
nut oil,
Hmm.
organic refined nut oils, organic avocado oil, organic sweet almond oil, organic jojoba oil, and refined because then they're filtered so that, like, avocado oil is green because the meat is green. But when it's refined organic avocado oil, it won't stain your lingerie and stain your sheets. So
Hmm.
the only time that you would want to watch out for using the oils on your products would be if you're using condoms, and in which case you'd want to use the polyurethane condoms. Those are the Trojan Supras.
Hmm.
That's a good condom to use if you're a condom user and you want to use a natural nut oil.
Hmm.
And you have to keep your sex toys cleaned or the oil will eat into the silicone over time. But
Mm.
good quality sex toys, and this is another place where people feel like they're cheating if they use pleasure toys. And I'm constantly encouraging people to incorporate tools
Hmm.
into their solo pleasuring practice, which is very good for you,
Hmm.
as well as into your lovemaking. Couples,
Hmm.
I do a lot of primary research, and couples tell me that they rate themselves in the bottom on a scale of 1 to 10 in incorporating toys and tools into lovemaking.
Right.
Well, you can only get so far with friction and body parts. You can get a lot further in co-creating pleasure when you have a little assist
Hmm.
with things like sex toys. And there are some really, really good sex toys that help people have more pleasure during lovemaking. And the more
Mm.
pleasure you have, the more you're going to want sex. And the more that
Hmm.
you want sex, the more you'll have. And the
Yes.
more that you have, the better you'll get at it. And the better that you get at it, the more orgasmic you'll get. And the
Hmm.
more orgasms you have, the more you have these vascular moments of ecstatic bliss that
Hmm.
generate all that oxytocin, that improve your system, that
Yes.
release hormones and feel good neurotransmitters. And so you're creating a like a
Cycle. Yeah.
cascade effect
Hmm.
of good things for your body and your partner's body
Hmm.
when you have sex. So starting with creating more pleasure using available tools
Hmm.
just makes good health sense.
Yeah. I love that. So, you previously said you had these tools in your website and that people can have access to ideas, right?
Yeah.
And not be so afraid to try these new things with
Yes.
the partner. And we've
Yeah.
talked about how the physiologically with the nitric oxide, how you can improve your oxytocin and also your sex
Yeah.
life and the libido, the desire and the arousal, and how
Yeah.
to, stack the pleasure with whether it's using toys or how to connect with your partner even more.
Yeah.
I know you. So what, you also have a free gift that you would like to, another one,
Oh,
arousalsecrets.com.
Oh, yeah. Arousal Secrets is a very nice video and ebook that goes into even more depth about how arousal works. So, we talked about libido, and libido is how your body is responding to sexual stimulus. Is it healthy? Are you pooping? Do you have a good microbiome? Do you have a good hormone profile? How is your adrenal system? Are you getting enough fatty acids? Are you producing
Hmm.
nitric oxide? Are you eating your vegetables? Are you good? Are you lubricated? All that stuff.
Hmm.
Can you get an erection, either clitoral or penile? So that's libido. Desire is your emotional relationship with yourself, and if you have it, a partner. So desire is, how's your body image? Do you feel sexy? Are you feeling shame, or do you feel like you are desirable and you desire another person? If
Mm.
not, what's standing in the way of that? It could be something as simple as you're unhappy with your partner about something outside the bedroom and have no desire for them inside the bedroom. So you've got to clean these things up. This is the
Yeah.
emotional side of things. And
Hmm.
then finally, it's arousal. And arousal is an interesting thing because let's go back to the banana. A man's penis fills up with blood very quickly. He gets an erection and he's ready to go. And by ready to go, I mean he's ready for intercourse.
Hmm.
And he has the benefit of having testosterone delivered and produced in his body every morning because he's got a daily testosterone bloom in the morning. And he probably wakes up with a morning erection. If he's healthy, he does.
Hmm.
So he's always ready to go, pretty much always ready to go if he's in good health. Where for our female bodied partners, we're on a 28-day cycle, even after menopause. We are women who run with the wolves
Cyclical.
and the
Hmm.
moons, right? So we're in the
Hmm.
28-day cycle. So we have a 5-day horny window. About 5 days after the beginning of our period, we start moving into our leading up to estrus and our 5-day horny window. So it's 9 days after the start of our period is the beginning of our horny window. And that's great, although we could be talked into having sex at any time if conditions are right. We're not the horn dogs that our male bodied partners are. And we love them for that. And we appreciate them for that. We need them for that. We need them to do the heavy lifting to get the sex happening. We need them to be good at seducing us, moving us toward pleasure, getting us out of our heads. I mean, estrogen makes us in our heads and thinking about a
Mhm.
million things and
Yeah.
having trouble getting into our bodies. So our male body partners being so testosterone focused on the goal, they're very good at being like, come over here, let me hug you, lie down
Mhm.
beside me, let me pet you. It's
Mhm.
okay. Everything's good.
Yeah,
Daddy's
get us into the
here.
mood, right? Yeah.
And when I say to men, remember that we're behind you. You've got to turn around and come back and get us. Don't expect us to. I mean, so many men are, they get angry over the years. Oh, she never initiates, maybe once a year. It's like, we're not socialized to do it. We're not conditioned to do it. We're not taught to do it. Our bodies don't work that way. We're not turned
Mhm.
on like you are. You have to help us climb our arousal ladder
Mhm.
by creating safety and creating this turn on with us and touching our bodies from the outside extremities into our genital system and our breasts and
Mhm.
kissing us. You don't start by grabbing our genitals or grabbing our
No, no.
breasts or things like that. That's how to turn a woman off. But that's what a man would like. He'd like us to grab his penis. He's ready to go. So that's
Yeah.
comforting to him. So when a guy does that, he's only doing it because he thinks it's the right thing. What I've
Mm.
found is that men really want to give women incredible pleasure. They
Mhm.
just need to know what we
How and
want and
yeah.
how we want it. And
Yeah.
we need to understand as women that we're different every day. So what we wanted yesterday is not at all what we want today. And for that, I actually have another gift if you'd like to have it. It's called the Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT. And you get it at sexualsoulmatepact.com. It's part of one of my most popular books, which is Sexual Soulmates, The Six Essentials to Connected Sex. And this is really about how you co-create sexual soulmates in the privacy of your own bedroom by really understanding the six essentials for connected sex, which is being present and creating a beautiful environment and having more embodied sex with eye connection, heart connection, soft and gentle touch, trust and security. And this idea of the sexual soulmate pact, which is how to know what you want even if you're not sure, how to ask for what you want without worrying about hurting your partner's feelings because they want to know,
Mm.
and why they want to know, and how to tell them so that they are happy to get the information so they
Mhm.
can become the lover they want to be for you.
Mm.
And the Sexual Soulmate Pact is a really, really nice agreement between lovers that
Mm.
helps you get that bedroom communication flowing, which is the make or break state between having a great sex life that keeps getting better, what I like to call getting on the upward pleasure spiral, versus swirling down the toilet like most people's sex lives do.
Mm. Yes. And so communication is key. And so thank you for that
Yes.
gift. If people want to, we'll definitely have the link up so people can click there and get it from you. So you
Sure.
talked about libido and desire, and then arousal is
Yeah.
definitely our third one.
Yeah.
And we kind of touched into it where, you know, you talked about the nitric oxide and the blood flow, but
Yeah.
any other tips for that?
Yes. My very favorite recommendation is, well, remember when I talked about the outside, working away from the outside, the extremities in? One of the ways that I think is very, very good for helping people get turned on is what I like to call yoni and lingam massage.
Hmm.
Yoni and lingam are the tantric sex words for her genitals and his genitals. Her yoni, his lingam. And giving lovers manual genital massage, worshiping their genitals with your hands and some nice warm organic oil.
Mm.
Before you have oral pleasuring or intercourse, taking time to really get the blood flowing, the lover relaxed, and pleasuring the genitals.
Mm,
And couples often at first are shy. They're shy to, especially women, to have their genitals seen, to be at the level of vulnerability to have their partner touching them, to have give their partner the space to learn their body and how
mhm,
they like each part of their vulva touched,
mhm.
rubbing along the mons, down the outer labia, the
It's part of
delicate inner labia.
yeah, it's part of the shame that comes for women that we are not supposed to show this, or there's supposed to be a perfect form of vulva or vagina that is presented to men, and so we feel like we are not normal when every woman is normal in their sense. God made them this way, right? And there's
Yeah.
so many different ones, and your partner loves you for who you are and also every part of your body. And
Yeah.
a lot of women also don't explore this themselves.
Yes.
And so it is important, maybe not only for the men to explore, but for women to be able to embrace and that insecurity and explore themselves also, right? And that's
Yes.
the first step. And before you let your partner do it, but to get that the knowledge of how you feel when you explore your own body, right?
Yes, definitely. I really think it's important to also look at your vulva
Mm-hmm.
and to do that frequently, because the more you look at her, the more you will fall in love with her, the more you will become appreciative of her beauty and her ever changing nature. In a way, we are, they always talk about the man has the little head and the big head. His little head is the one on his shoulders, and his big head's the one on in his pants, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the one that's really in charge. Well, women are no different. When we are sexually emancipated and comfortable with our sexuality, we realize that a lot of our actions and behaviors are driven by our yoni, our female genitals, our desire, our libido. It's what drives us. And so the more that we love ourselves and honor the seat of our creativity and passion, which is what our yoni is, the more that we are yoni driven, yoni fueled, the more that we are living as a woman in a turned on way. A woman who is a turned on woman is a woman who is turned on to the world, turned on to the universe, a woman who is excited and passionate and lively and looking forward to the fruits of what life has to offer.
Right.
And that comes from the seat of our power and our passion, which is our yoni, which is our female genitals. So the more we're in touch with them, the more we awaken them, the more we enliven them, the more we love them and we allow them to be loved, the better our overall life is. It has that much impact on us.
That's great. Wow, Susan, we talked about a lot today, and
We
I
did.
think our listeners will love all that we've heard or talked about libido and desire and arousal. So thank you for teaching. And how do people get a hold of you if they wanted to see where you're at?
Sure. I have one question. I have three little tools that I would love to show you on our video. Could I show
Hmm.
you three things I recommend to people?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, great. Just before I go, this is one of the very first ones. This is called the V-Fit. The V-Fit Gold by Joy Lux. This would be a nice thing for you to carry in your office. I think this is one of my very favorite tools. It uses red light therapy,
Oh, yes.
which is photobiomodulation, which
Yes.
stimulates vaginal mucosal regrowth so that
Hmm.
you have a nice thick vaginal mucosal
Hmm.
layer, so that you have plenty of lubrication. It does Kegel toning,
Hmm.
and it uses warmth to recollagenate the tissue.
Hmm.
So this is a very, very, very nice product. It also, they mostly market this as an FDA class 2 device for incontinence. As our pelvis drops, as our pelvic musculature becomes weakened as we age, we have trouble with urge and urge incontinence, and
Hmm.
we leak
Oh,
urine.
like floor weakening. Yes. Hmm.
Exactly. So this is a very nice medical device that
Hmm.
is excellent for at-home vaginal rejuvenation.
Did you know that for the red light therapy, photobiomodulation, you can actually take some green tea extract 30 minutes before you do the red light therapy because it actually activates the green tea and you have more mitochondrial energy too.
That's
So
so
it
interesting. So
doubles
what, like
that
L-theanine?
photobiomodulating. No, like actual green tea extract.
Oh,
Because you know how
wow.
trees they have photosynthesis
Yeah.
and the light hits it and that's how they create energy.
Yeah.
Same thing, when the red light hits that green tea extract in your body, it actually compounds it, so you get much higher photobiomodulation potential. Hmm.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting. It makes sense to me. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, no problem.
I wanted to show you this device. This is called the Lady Buy. No, this is called the Miss Buy. This is the smaller version of it. And this is by a company called Fun Factory. They have very good quality tools. And I like this for solo pleasuring for women. Women who have a solo pleasuring practice have more expanded orgasmic capacity, and their vaginal tissue and clitoral tissue gets more blood flow or engorgement. The Buy has two vibrators, one that goes
Hmm.
internal to the anterior fornix as well as to the urethral area, which is called the G spot, but it's really a long sponge of tissue, as you know.
Hmm.
And then this is the external pad that works on the
The
clitoral
pleasure. Hmm.
external area. And this really activates both internal and external tissue. So for many women, if they haven't had sex in a long time and they feel atrophied, this particular vibrator is very, very good for that.
That's
And
great.
then this one I like a lot too. This is called the Curve, and this is by a company called Hot Octopus with two S's.
Hmm.
And the Curve is nice because it has this very soft tip on it, which is excellent for G spot awakening and G spot activation. And when you are trying to bring engorgement into the vulvar tissue so that you can reverse the atrophy of aging, the sensation loss, etc. A lot of women say, I don't even really feel my orgasms anymore. And so one of the things I say is move beyond just the clitoral vibration into things like G spot awakening, because you can of course use this on the external vulva, but it also works on the internal vulva, awakening that secondary erectile tissue in the urethral sponge, as
Hmm.
well as turning it this way and enlivening the perineal sponge.
Hmm.
So a woman who has a few different toys is always going to get a lot more stimulation when she works the whole area than when
Yeah,
she's just focused on the tip. So I just wanted to pop
great.
those into
Thank you.
your awareness, because one of the most common questions I've been getting lately, interestingly enough, is from men who are saying, what vibrator should I buy my wife? And I'm like, okay, well, are you talking about something that you want to use during lovemaking? Or are you talking about something you want her for solo pleasure? Do you
Yourself.
want to use it
Hmm.
on her? What are we talking about here?
Mm,
Because there are different tools for the jobs.
definitely.
So those are some of my favorites.
Great tools. Thanks,
Yeah.
Susan. So
So, yep.
yeah, so we'll have all your links up, and if
Thanks.
anyone is interested, they can definitely go and find you. And
Yeah.
we're so grateful to have you on our Dr. Lamb show, and I hope all our listeners have learned so much about libido, desire, arousal. If you
Thank you.
liked it, definitely subscribe and like our video and share it with those who you think might also benefit from this video. So
Nobody's
stay tuned.
sharing this one. Who's going to share this one? I don't think anybody, everybody's going to be like, I'm not
Oh, all
sharing
their girlfriends at least, you know.
that. I
Yeah,
hope
no,
so.
it needs to be heard more,
It
and I think
does.
we need to be more open about it. So I'm glad for you being able to talk to us about this. So
Me too. Thank you for the
stay
tip
tuned for
on
our
the
next episode.
on the green tea extract too.
For sure. Yes, definitely try it out.
I will.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.